Hey everyone, it's Paul. Happy Tuesday and welcome to today's Plant Tip Tuesday. So for today I want to talk about air plants or tillandsias. Air plants are a really cool species of plant because they don't require any soil. So I have a few of my tillandsias that I want to first show you, and then we'll talk about how to actually take care of them. So the first one I have in my collection is the tillandsia, what I believe is stricta, and I actually have two types here. The strictas are really cool because they will produce a flower that kind of blooms in the middle during the spring and summer times. And the bottom of the air plant, okay, forms these kind of like tentacle-like roots. I don't know if you can kind of see that. The reason they do this is because tillandsias are what are known as epiphytes. And epiphytes are basically species of plants that grow off other larger trees or bark or anything like that. So that's how they kind of support themselves. The next type I have is the tillandsia ionatha, and I have them in this cute little planter that I got off Amazon. These guys kind of have this reddish tips on them. So I think they're called ionatha fuegos, but I'm not exactly sure. They're also really cool, and they have these kind of little roots that they will grow on the bottom too to kind of help support them. Another really interesting looking air plant is the tillandsia bulbosa. Okay, so this guy's really cool. And a little fun fact about this guy is if you let it grow outside, ants will sometimes actually use the little kind of hollowish bulbs on the bottom as a home. In addition, the waste that is produced by the ants will actually help feed the plant. So it's kind of a bit of a symbiotic relationship. So that's pretty cool. But I don't recommend doing that in your home. And last but not least, the king of air plants, the tillandsia xerographica. Okay. So xero means dry because these guys are native, like most air plants, to Central and South America. So they're used to not getting a lot of water. So usually the morning dew kind of provides the nutrients. So all tillandsias get their nutrients through their leaves since they have no soil. So the cool things about these xerographicas and some of the other air plants is the curliness of the leaves. So if the leaves are pretty straight, that means it's pretty well hydrated. And then the more they curl, the more kind of dehydrated. Now it's not necessarily bad for the tillandsia, it's more of an aesthetic piece. So if you want your leaves to kind of be a little more straight and less curly, then I would recommend watering it a little more frequently. But if you like the really curled up look, then water it less frequently, okay? So how do you actually take care of the tillandsia? So what I recommend is you just kind of dip them in a bucket of water about once a week, which is what I do. And I leave it in the water for about half hour to an hour, maybe even an hour and a half. That's perfectly fine. The water you use is also important. So you don't want to use distilled water for these guys because distilled water doesn't have the minerals that the air plants need. So tap water is fine. If you have really hard water, you might want to let it sit out for a while. You could use filter water. These guys would love rainwater or even water from like a bird pond or a lake or anything like that. Like dirty water is actually good for these guys, okay? And the reason that these guys don't need to get watered so often is because in the leaves, they have specialized cells called trichomes. And these trichomes basically keep the water in, prevent it from evaporating. In addition, it also reflects excess light so they don't get burned as much. So these guys are really cool in terms of their defense mechanisms and how they've been able to evolve over time. So what you do, or what I have here, is just a bucket of water, okay? You want to get the leaves nice and wet. So when you water your air plants, okay, water them kind of upside down. And you just dip them in the container like that. And so I'm just gonna dip all my air plants in. As I said, let them soak for a while. You can forget about them, come back in a while, and just take them out. Okay, so we're gonna let these guys soak. We'll come back, we'll check in, and then we'll see how we're doing and what to do next, okay? Okay, so we've been letting our air plants soak for a while, getting a nice good bath. First things first, when you take your air plants out of the water, okay? You want to shake them off. You don't want the excess water to kind of sit in the bottom, okay, the part of the roots, because that's how you'll actually kill your air plants. So I like to kind of just do that, and I let them sit on a piece of paper towel for a while so they can dry out, okay? Because especially if you leave these guys in terrariums, if it sits in that excess moisture, that's how it's gonna die. So take it out, kind of wring it out a little bit, and just let it sit there for a while, okay? And once it sits there for a while and they're pretty dry, then just put them back to wherever you had them. So where is a good place for your air plant? Okay, air plants like bright, direct, filtered light, or even indirect light. They can handle a little bit of light in the morning, so that's perfectly fine. Some of these too do like humidity. So for example, my Strictas here, I actually have them in my bathroom in my windowsill. So it's getting bright indirect light, and it's also getting humidity from the shower, so that's good. The rest of my air plants kind of live on my kitchen counter where it's just gonna get it, where it's getting bright indirect light, okay? So yep, just shake them off, let them sit, and you are good to go, okay? So I hope you found this video helpful and that you may be interested in purchasing an air plant. This is personally my favorite, and these guys will actually produce a really nice big flower at some point in their lifetime as well, okay? So hope you find this helpful. If you have other questions, shoot me a message on Instagram, plantmepaul, and I'll be happy to answer anything that you might be curious about. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care.